All right, so this is the review for quiz number 15, talking about expanders and gates. And so the first point is that those are dynamic processors. Not all dynamic processors are versions of the compressor. These are doing kind of the opposite of what compressors do. Once the volume falls below a threshold, it is reducing the volume. So not all dynamic processors are types of compressors. So the attack time is very similar, though. It's how fast it starts to do its job. So a gate, that's closing. For an expander, it's just lowering the volume. But the attack is how fast that is happening. The expander increases the dynamic range. So I've been beating that into your head about the compressor, right? It reduces the dynamic range. This is doing the opposite. It's increasing the dynamic range. It's making the quieter parts quieter, and so making a larger difference between the loud parts and the quiet parts. A gate closes once the volume drops below the threshold. So we did all those pictures with the compressor. We had a threshold. Once the volume got above the threshold, it compressed it. Once in a gate, once it falls below the threshold, it essentially mutes the track. And yes, in fact, there are things called companders where it will do both of those things. You can set up the channel strip in Pro Tools to do both of those things, so that you could even just have one threshold where if it goes above that threshold, it gets compressed. If it gets below that threshold, it's gated. So you have no point where it's not processed in some way by a dynamic processor. Okay. And a good example of this that happens a lot is on guitar amplifiers. If you have a noisy guitar amplifier that is buzzing, we don't need to hear that when that guitarist is resting or they're not playing notes. Yes. So there are guitar pedals that will do this too, right? That guitarists have learned that this could be a problem. So put on your gate pedal, and then when you're not playing or you're not muting your strings, you still don't get that hum from the amplifier until you play something loud enough. It goes above that threshold, and we can hear it. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and lock that gate.